Oh my gosh, I'm back already. On our learning plan 2, activity number 3, that what's legal, a clarification, I had you answer or what you thought the answer was to the questions 1 through 20. I thought it'd be a lot easier for me to describe these to you than try to type all of that out, and then I'll post it and you'll find it in LP3. So after you take this, when you click on next week, you'll find the answers to all of this. So I asked you, like, can you say this or can't you? Can you or can't you, right? So let's look at number 1. How old are you? Absolutely not. Can't ask that. I still see them on, interview question lists and things like that, or job applications, because they haven't changed or updated their stuff in a million years. Have you ever been arrested? You cannot ask that, right? But you can ask, have you ever been convicted of a felony, right? Have you ever been convicted? Arrested doesn't count. Do any of your relatives work for this organization? Now, that's kind of a sticky one, because the reason they need to be asking is so that you are not applying to a job where you report directly to your relative. That should be why they're asking. Here's the downside of asking that question is that if you don't have had a good experience with the person you're related to that works there, it's like, oh man, I don't want to answer that. I know they skip work a lot. Oh my gosh, or they have issues or whatever, and you don't want to be associated with them. Or on the flip side, oh, they're fabulous, I want to be associated with them. I would not, personally, I wouldn't ask this question. I would leave that for the departmental part of this. So make sure that you're not reporting to, that's nepotism, by the way. We can't do that. So number 4, do you have children? And if so, what kind of child care arrangements do you have? Really? Don't ask that. Illegal. Don't do it. Do you have any handicaps? I saw you limping there. You got a handicap? Oh my gosh, you can't ask that. You can't ask that. Just forget about it. Number 6, what are the address and phone number where you can be reached? Yes, you can ask that, but you cannot ask where people live. Seems weird, like what's the difference? Well, when you ask somebody where they're from or where they live, depending on what the answer might be, you might be judged harshly. Let's say you grew up in a poor neighborhood, like I did, right? Oh, I learned very quickly not to tell people where I lived. I used to tell people I lived up on Indian Hill, because if they knew I came from the housing units, yeah, people are pretty judgmental. So we don't ask that. Are you married? Oh gosh. Oh my God. They used to ask that. I'm old enough to where they used to ask that. They can't do it anymore. Where were you born? Don't ask that. It has no relevance to the job. Where were you born? What organizations do you belong to? Now, that could be a good question. I wouldn't ask it like that, because what if they say the KKK? Now, maybe, that doesn't go over very well for your company or whatever your company's organizational culture is like. So what organizations do you belong to that are related to the field in which you're working is a better question. So for example, let's say you're a plumber. Do you belong to the, National Plumbers Association or whatever? Keep it job related, okay? Have you ever been convicted of a crime? Well, we know you can ask that. Now, be careful, convicted of a crime. States may vary. Double check whether it has to be a felony or not. Do you get along well with other men and women? Well, that could just be worded better. Now, if you are hiring, and basically one of the things that they will be doing is a lot of teamwork and stuff like that, you should already have questions that are created to dig down deeper into how people work with others and work on a team. Asking if they get along well with men and women, everybody's gonna say, well, yeah, I'm a people person. Oh my gosh, the kiss of death. Don't ever say that. Because what would you say? Oh, well, no, not exactly, because I'm kind of an a-hole, right? No one's going to tell you that. Well, if they do, at least they're honest, right? Number 12, have you ever worked under a different name? You don't need to ask that, because what that's getting at is, what if you're a woman? You say, well, yeah, because, I've worked under my maiden name, because now you have a married name. Those are leading questions. You don't need to ask that. What languages can you speak or write fluently? Has no bearing on anything unless that's what you need to do for the job. Don't ask it, because if you get into a pickle over it, the judge says, well, why were you asking? Were you trying to pigeonhole them or find out, where they're from, that kind of thing? Number 14, what experience have any of you had in the military? That's okay to ask. What is your spouse's income? Okay, we can't even ask if you're married, let alone ask about their income. What make, year, model is your car? Absolutely not relevant to the job. Now, if you need people to have, you can ask if they have a reliable, you know, way of getting to work on time. If they say yes, well, then there you go. It might be the bus. I don't know. My mother took the bus for 28 years. Didn't have a car, didn't drive. Anyway, number 17, hours is a hectic office. Can you keep up with the younger people here? Oh my gosh, really? Don't ask that. Do you have any medical problems that would prevent you from performing your job duties? I wouldn't necessarily say medical problems, but you can say, do you have any issues that might prevent you from performing your job duties? Because you can ask that. And you can test for that. Let's say they got to carry a 50-pound box of whatever every day. You can actually test them to do that. How long have you lived in this city or state? Not relevant. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think some jobs like police, fire, whatever, require that you live within the township or something. But what experience have you had in, well, if it's related to the job, it's a question that's okay. So compared to what we just talked about now, see how you did. Bye.